Hello, everyone. Welcome to IndieX again. I'm Patricia, and I'm so ready to tell you about our next game in line. This game is called The Wreck, and to tell us more about it, we are going to have here with us Florent from the Pixel Hunt
Hi
studio.
there.
Oh, you were right. Your hair is amazing. Oh
Yeah.
my god. He was
You know what,
telling me all
Patricia?
about it.
Actually, I stopped cutting my hair when I started working on the rec, and I say to my daughters that I'm going to cut it when the game is out. So pretty soon, it's all over.
Oh my god. When did it start?
A
Like
long time ago,
growing.
a very long time ago, 2017.
Oh my. This is a shocking revelation, but you look really nice. I love your
Thank
hair.
you.
So,
Thank you.
this game has been on the making since 2017.
Absolutely. Yeah. On and off, not full time, with other projects ongoing in the meantime, but yes.
But we are almost at the end because this game, you expected to release it really soon, right?
Yes, yes.
So,
Actually, it should. Initially, we plan to release it in this month, in a few weeks. But we are working on a little surprise for the players that I can't talk about right now because it's still unannounced. But it had us push the release date a little further, so early 2023. But hopefully, people will not be disappointed because it's for a very good reason. So I can talk much about it, but yeah, please be patient with us.
it's okay. 2023, it's right around the corner, so we
Yes,
can wait a
yes.
little bit more. So, you guys, how big is your team in Pixel Hunt? The
Well, it
Pixel
really
Hunt team.
depends on like the core team for the rec was 3.5 people. I say and a half because our animator she worked on the game part time. So, well, from for half of the production, and the rest was a developer, an art director, and me, the main writer and also the producer of the game. But of course, we had help from a lot of people. I co-wrote the game with my sister.
Oh,
We had help for sound design by a very talented team at Color Swap Studios. We had lots of help from other developers. Daniele Giardini, for instance, worked with us on the interface of the game. Lots of other people. In the end, there's around 20 people who actually worked at some point on the game, but the core team is 3.5 people.
wow. That's so little at the same time, so many people
Yes,
working on to bring to life a project like this. Oh,
yeah,
I can't wait to show you everyone how cool this game looks and sounds. But we are
yeah.
going to go on that in a moment. And is this the same team responsible for? I was checking other games called Bury Me My Love and
Yes.
Inua.
Inua,
Inua.
yes. So no, those are completely different teams. Bury Me My Love was our first game. It was in 2D, whereas the Wreck is in 3D. It was made with monogame, whereas the Wreck is made with Unity. So basically, different skills, different people working on different projects. And about Inua, as Inua and the Wreck were developed in parallel, of course, it's two different teams because yeah, people who are
Okay.
working on Inua could did not have any time to work on any other game. So yeah, three different teams. The only common denominator is probably me,
Okay.
but also Inua was a co-production with two other companies. So people from those companies worked on those games. So yeah,
Ah, I
basically three
see.
different projects, three different teams, but all with a little bit of the Pixel Hunt or studio in it, and that's talking about the real world. That's our editorial line.
Okay, well, you have your hands full with a lot of work all the time. Writing is not easy. It takes time
Yeah,
to get to this kind of quality. So, if we can start with the game, please. This is our first screen.
yes,
It's it's lovely. You can get a little hint of something, but well,
yes, exactly, yes, and Actually, people who are going to play the game might find this a little weird that it starts as a fake OS or screen, basically a fake computer. But hopefully, later in the game, as you play, you will understand why it starts that way.
Yeah, because it has to do with the main character. We discovered
Hmm.
pretty early what she does in life. Well,
Exactly, exactly, yes.
so let's meet Junon and let's learn a bit more about what's happening
Yes.
in this game. How would you describe this game for someone who hasn't heard about this at all?
Well, it's complicated. Like if you talk about the story, it's easy. It's the story of a young woman called Junon who's living through the absolute shittiest day of her life. And you as a player, you have to try to swerve her in the right direction to help her make decisions so that
Yeah.
she can actually face that complicated day and survive it basically because as you'll understand pretty quickly she's in a dire situation and it's almost a matter of life and death. So that's for the story and the theme. But about the genre is way more complicated because the way I would describe it is a 3D visual novel. But the thing is, the people who actually play visual novels usually that's not what they expect because the
Yeah.
style is the visual style is fairly different from the style you would find in a visual novel. The way we present text and the way the story progresses is also fairly different. So let's say it's in an interactive story. I don't know how would you talk about it, Patricia?
I've played for a bit, and I would say that usually I ask things like, oh, how many endings? Are our choices meaningful? Those kind of stuff. But in this case, it's the journey. It's the journey that matters, the healing journey. Because all of us will eventually in life will have to undergo some kind of healing journey. And this is it. This is a story about it. And I would describe it like that, a journey.
Yeah, very
Pretty
nice, very
much.
nice. I will use that.
Oh, nice. I'm glad I'm helping already. So we meet Junon, and oh, I must say, the voice actress, she's delightful. We will have the chance to listen to her. Well, we all know that French speaking English is chic, but chic, not that
I
chic.
thought you were going to say
Sorry,
it's shit.
just in
And it's
case.
also true. It's also true. So
No, but chic,
chic.
and and she's delightful. She's just delightful to hear.
Yeah. It's funny because for French people, some French people played the game and told me, "Oh, it's weird because she has this French accent. It seems like she's not speaking English properly, and it just sounds too French." And my hope was that for people who are not French, it would actually sound chic, as you said. So if you felt that way, then good for us.
And well, and she's joyful. She's sad. She's witty. She's everything. Where's? Oh, by the way, I'm playing this with a gamepad.
Oh,
I
okay.
find it more comfortable because of the forward and rewind parts later on
Yes.
in the game.
And you know that I don't know if it works with your gamepad, but you can use the right stick to go up and down and cycle through the choices.
Oh, yeah, I can.
So you don't actually have to point on the choices. It might be easier to even play like that if you want. Small tip for people listening.
That's a very nice tip because she will talk and sometimes she pinpoints a lot of thoughts, ideas, and people, and we can learn more about different things in different times. So
Yes, exactly.
that's helpful. So we arrived at the hospital with some very bad news, and Junon fainted. And along the game, we will see what Junon is doing, how she feels, and keywords will show up on the screen.
Yes, we call them
How did
thought doors. So it's just like the things she thinks about, and you can decide to explore them or not particularly explore them.
that's cool because we feel right away how she's feeling. What is this all about? Because sometimes it's she's not particularly shy about what she's feeling, and that's
Yeah.
so cool.
I
Look.
mean, I don't know how it works in your head, but in her head, she doesn't have any filter. She just thinks what she thinks, and she doesn't care because you're not supposed to be hearing it anyway. So you know.
Oh, look, there's a very nice comment on the chat. I believe this was the game that had the most impact on me this year's edition. So good. The art, the writing, the music. Thanks, Joe
Oh
Mig.
yes, thanks a lot, Jomi. Greatly appreciated. I hope the full game. I hope you like the full game too.
A little nauseous is all. I just had a little bit of a moment. A big moment. But it's over now. Sorry, I ducked out. I'm already feeling much better.
Can the people in the chat actually hear the voice? Because I can't on the software we are using, but I know the game by heart, so it's not a problem. I just wanted to know whether people could actually hear the voice of the actress.
I don't know about that. I can hear it because I'm playing, but I do hope you guys are listening to this because Junon, she's so cool speaking.
Oh, I apologize, Dr. Giagana. I just vomited up my breakfast. I had it all over my chin. It wasn't a good look. It's hardly my fault. I haven't been handling stress very well lately.
That's the thing, right? We tried to, when we wrote the character with my sister, we tried to, as her life is pretty depressing, like what's happening to her is pretty complicated. We tried to counteract that with a character that would be that would seem strong and witty and brave and with a lot of things happening in her head. Just because we didn't want to, we wanted to talk about something that is sad and complicated to deal with, but we didn't want people to feel overwhelmed by only sadness. So if we can also make them smile from time to time, then hopefully we reached our objectives.
Well, and people are complex like that. Even in a very, very low point in your life, there's always more things happening at the same time. And we will find out what's happening because, well, deep down, we all have our problems. And when we pause the game, I just pause to bring the volume up a little bit. We can see that this is a screenplay happening.
No work.
Let's see, everyone, if you can listen to Junon a little better right now.
I'll be out in just a second. Those weren't here before. Do you think they have any idea where they are?
I'm sure this comes as a shock, but it is crucial that you understand the situation. Your mom had a brain aneurysm. Do you know what that means?
Mom. Funny. I could never get myself to call her mom. She's always been Marie to me. As I understand it, it's a weekend.
Now we understand that something happened to her mother, but their relationship is not
It is a serious
quite
situation.
well.
We
It's
need
not
to
in a
prepare for
a
whatever
really good
happens
point.
next very quickly indeed.
Yeah.
I've watched enough Grey's Anatomy to know that this is not good.
How was it to design this story, to think about the depth of all this character, of this character particularly at the moment? But
Well,
it takes a while.
It was interesting because
We?
you know,
I don't know
my
anything
sister
about
and I, we
medicine.
wrote about
I work in
our
administration.
common
It's mostly
experience
paperwork.
as siblings
I'm not
and
going to tell her
things
that
that
I'm a
happen
failed
to
screenwriter.
us
She would
in
never take
our
me
family
seriously.
relationships.
Anything
But
related to medical care will
it's
be
not.
my
It's
team's
absolutely not
responsibility.
what happens
But you
to
are her
Junon.
trusted advocate.
Our mother
I'm sorry,
is
you
not
should be
what now?
terrible and horrible, and
Do you not
actually
remember?
we don't have
This
that
is the
kind
reason
of
we called
that kind
We
of
have your name
conflicting
and your number,
relationship
which
with
means
her.
that you signed the release.
I have
It's
no
way
idea what
more.
she's talking about.
It's completely
And since
different.
she's not
But
able
we
to
still
express her
wanted
will,
to talk
it
about
falls to
that,
you to speak on her
about
behalf.
how even
But
with
I
the people
presume you
you
discussed
love,
that when you
you
went
can
through the
have
process.
feelings
So
that
you
are
must know
not
that
black
there are
or
a
white,
number of
but
options to
gray.
consider.
And it's not always simple to know how to make peace with the people we love, because probably the people we love the most are the people that we can get angry at the most or upset with
Yeah.
the most. So that's really what we wanted to
I don't
convey.
believe it.
It was
She
really
put
a
my name
story
on the form
exactly
without
about that,
asking
about
me.
how it's
She
complicated
must
to
have
have
forged my signature.
peaceful and
It's hardly a
and
surprise. She's always
appeased
done that kind of stuff.
relationship
But
with
I'm not
the people who are the
making any important
closest to us,
decisions.
our brothers and sisters, our parents, in my case, our children also. So we tried to find a storyline that shared some common
I've had
ground
my share of this kind of
with
responsibility,
our
and
personal
it didn't turn
experience,
out
but
well.
also we
Yeah.
tried to
However, my
detach
dear
from
mother
our lives
doesn't
because
seem
we
to
didn't want
understand.
to just like tell our life stories. That would not have been very interesting. So yeah, it was delicate, I would say.
Yeah, because I think that's a good way to put it, because when we have siblings, something happens that, well, it will probably be worse for me than for you, for my sibling. And it's not the same. If you ask the story to one and the story to the other one, they won't be in the same movie at all most of the times, because everyone has their way of experiencing things. And sometimes there there's a distance between people that shouldn't be there, because there's just something that was not properly understood, or
Exactly.
something. And
Yeah.
that's a bit, that's why this is also a story about sisterhood.
Yes, absolutely. Well, actually,
After
you know
all we've
what?
been through, what makes her
I
think that
had
I can
initial
make the right
desires
decision?
with the story. I
Pitting
wanted
us
to talk about
against one another at a time like
um,
this.
the
That's
relationship of
exactly
a
what my mother
parent
would
with
do.
their child,
I feel
because I'm
trapped,
a father of
like a
two,
fish in a barrel.
and
Oh.
it's been really like occupying my mind
Oh,
since
come
I
to think
became
of
a
it, I would
father.
love that.
What
30-second memory,
what am I
not a care in the world.
building?
Fear me,
What kind of
shark, for
relationship
I
I'm
am the
building with my
terror of the
daughters?
oceans.
So I wanted to talk about that.
That
My
reminds
sister
me of the
doesn't have
nickname I got
any
during
children,
swim class in
but
middle school.
she's the daughter of someone, of course, but she doesn't have any children, any kids. And she was more interested in talking about
Sea hag.
feminism,
Haters, all of
sorority,
I'm sorry,
relationships
Miss Fortin?
women have with their
Dumont.
mothers and their
I-
sisters.
I
And so
went
we
back to my
mixed
maiden name.
the
I'm
things
sorry.
we both wanted
That
to talk
wasn't in your
about.
file.
And as
Listen,
we are
I
brothers
understand
and
that this is all
sisters,
very sudden,
she
but we
didn't
don't
have
a lot of
to
time.
explain too
We need
much
focus.
to me what she wanted to talk
We
about,
do
and I
indeed.
didn't have to explain to her too much what I wanted to talk about. So this kind of monster that we created, I think it works because we have
sorry,
this
it's just,
this link
It's
and
okay.
this common
I understand.
life experience
It's not an
that
easy
makes it
Yeah.
way more
Our major
easier
concern
than
right
if
now
I was
is
to
the
explain to
hemorrhage
someone I
spreading.
don't know
There's
how
the risk of
I
cerebral
feel
vasospasm.
in regards
That is a
to me
complication
being a
which could
parent,
severely
for
affect her
instance.
brain.
Is she
And in your
considered-
case, you can also understand, and I think you did that beautifully in the game,
There
that
could
sometimes
be long-term consequences.
the- the-
This sort of event
the most
severely
difficult-
impacts the body, and
difficult
mental
thing
functions may also be
is
impaired.
to build the
I need
bridge
to know
again,
if you
because
and your mother will be able
Yeah.
to deal with that sort of complication.
Exactly.
I'm
One
not ready for
Christmas
this.
not so long ago, we had a terrible Christmas family reunion because
Holy.
suddenly all hell broke loose and everybody was mad at each other. My big sister was mad at my little sister. My little sister was mad at everyone. My mother was cross that we were fighting, even though it's Christmas. So she was also grumpy, and I was in the
No, it
middle.
Yeah.
can't
And
be.
and then
I can
we
relate to that.
and this crisis
What do you mean?
gave way to a very
To be
interesting
completely frank,
discussion about
If we're able to pull your
our
mother through
childhood
this,
and
there's
our
only a
relationship
small
and
chance
how
she'll be like
we
she was
perceived
before.
something completely
Small?
differently.
From
Something
each
that she
other.
was hurt by, I
Smaller
had
than
no
that.
idea. something
In
I
all
was hurt by,
probability,
she had no
she will
idea. And
never be quite
so
the
the
same.
crisis helped
Some
us
people would prefer
actually
not to keep living under
progress
such
as
circumstances.
siblings. And
They'd rather
that's
their
also
medical care were
what's
geared
happening
more
in the game
around
at some point.
letting go as gracefully as possible. What I
Games
need to know is
can be
what did
ways
your
of
mother
us of helping us
I
deal with stuff
know
and
how to
pinpoint
answer that.
issues that
Last
sometimes
time
are
she
really
told
on
me
the
she
back of our
wanted
mind,
something.
and I
Yeah.
think this game
Was-
does that beautifully, because at some point the characters in this game, they will have to sit down and talk about it and make everything clear, because that's how relationships get ruined pretty easy.
To be
Patricia,
Moma.
I'm really glad you say that
Excuse
because
me?
that's exactly what we
Moma?
wanted
The
to
museum.
convey with the game. So if you understood
Ms.
that,
Demange,
I didn't tell you anything. So if
your
you
mother's
understood it,
dead, Marie Demange?
it works.
Yeah,
So
because
I'm really happy with that.
I think that deep down, every one of us that has family, because we all had at some point or still have, and we went through that a few years ago. I also was in a really bad place with my sister, because I don't even recall anymore, but bridges had to be built again, or at least we had to talk about it, because, well, I don't even recall anymore, but something happened, because sometimes it's just that something, and people don't talk about it, and things crumble.
Yeah.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah.
Works every time.
Eventually, I
Once
think
people figure out who
the
Marie
story we talk
is,
about is
zap,
fairly
Their whole
specific.
demeanor changes.
But the
They
general
feel like they
feeling
know her
underlying
somehow.
the story, I think it's
Of course, they're
maybe
completely
not
wrong.
universal,
Oh, she
but
takes them
fairly
in with her
widespread.
dog and
The
pony show.
things we talk about, the
There's a
relationship
world
we
of
talk
difference
about,
between who
I
she is
think
in
they
public
are.
and in
It's
private.
fairly easy
And
for
if this
people to
doctor
connect to
knew
them,
Marie,
hopefully,
the real her,
and I
she
hope
would
that will
realize
help
how
people maybe
ridiculous her question is.
better understand struggles they can have in their daily lives with people they love.
And look at this specific case at this point in story where we are. Her mother, Marie, she's in the hospital, and she's so mad, and she's not able to, at this point, deal with what's happening to her mother, her feelings towards her mother, and, well, everything else that's happening in her life, and, well, she's pretty
The
mad.
Marie Demange. And I'm
Yes.
her assistant.
You
I
can
guess.
feel
I handle the business,
that-
the management, the press,
that
so that she can be
that she's
fully
crossed, and
dedicated
it's
to
not
her
really
art,
clear
you see?
whether
Anyway,
she has
the other
reasons
day,
to be
I
super
got a
angry
call
that we
from
don't
Centre
know
Pompidou.
of yet,
They want to do a
or
retrospective
whether
on
it's
her
her
life
way
and
to
work.
deal
Can
to
you
cope
imagine?
with the
The
situation.
billboards,
Because
the
sometimes
crowds, the press,
when
the whole
you're
shebang.
cornered
I'm like,
into a
"Hell
situation
yeah."
that you really
I hop
don't
into my
want to
car,
be
I
in,
rush over to tell her,
some
I
people
run
react
into the
with
workshop,
anger. And so
yelling.
for
A
Junon, at that
lot.
point in the
Sad.
game, you're not
Did
exactly
you hear
sure
from Mama?
why she reacts the way she
Someone
reacts.
had
And
told her
hopefully
they were
it will
considering her
become more and more
self-portrait
clear
a
as we
canvas
progress
from her latest
in the game.
series.
It will, because
Exhibit in
that's
Paris, on the other
also the
hand,
point
she
of the
didn't
game.
care.
You will help
So,
her. We will help Junon mend
Most of the time, I
relationships,
don't know. I
and
have no idea what she
while
wants.
we dig on her past and understand why she feels that
I
way,
know
what happened
what I'm asking
to lead her
isn't
to
easy. I
that
can give you
path.
a little time to
Yeah.
think.
Like that would change anything.
She's so mad right now. It's amazing. The voice actress is wonderful portraying that, by the way.
She's called
sorry,
Charlotte
I
Daysac,
gotta go.
and she's French, and she's been living in Lebanon, in France, and in the UK. Hence the fact that she's a very apt English speaker, and she can act without an accent. But we asked her to try to not suppress her French accent completely, so that it can sound a little French.
That was a very good choice. This is a good point to look at the chat and see some questions that have arisen, because people are loving this game. So, which platforms will the game come out on? Where can we see this game?
Well, there are platforms I'm allowed to talk to you about, and some I can't really say anything about yet. But be sure that you can play it on PC, Mac, and Switch. And we have more platforms to announce, but it's not done yet. But at least PC, Mac, and Nintendo Switch.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool already. Nintendo Switch is a great platform to have this kind of games.
The only
And
thing that I regret a
yeah,
little bit about the Switch is that because the Switch is getting older, visually it's not exactly as nice as it can be on a PC, for instance. It's still looking pretty good, but we had to get rid of some of the visual effects. So, but
yeah,
but it's not a big deal. But I see it because I made the game.
yeah.
Probably most of the people won't even realize it.
Oh, and people are also asking if it's Steam Deck certified.
Yeah, it works super well on the Steam Deck. Yeah, we played it. I played it from start to finish on a deck. So yeah, it's comfortable. I don't
Glowing.
think we have the certification because we didn't go through the process with Valve, but it works well on the Steam Deck.
Oh, and there's an also there's also Kami on the chat saying I wouldn't have to do a shopping list for my brother. He'd know exactly what I want, and like I bet he'd bring things I don't usually buy but that I love. So that's
Ah,
the thing also about
yeah.
siblings. We will see
Yes.
that.
Mm, yeah.
And do you want to talk about what's happening next? Because this is the first, turning point in the
Yes.
game.
Yes. It's also the reason why the wreck is called the wreck. So that's the first time Junon is facing a situation where she's losing it, basically. She's met with
Yeah.
the doctor. The doctor told her, I really need to know what your mother would do. Do you think she would survive at all costs, even if that means having a life that is not as good as it was before? Or do you think that she would prefer us to just focus on letting go as gracefully as possible? So it's a huge question, and
It
if
is.
you know the person very well, you might have discussed that with them, and you might have an answer because they told you what they would want for themselves. But Juno has never talked about that with her mother. So
Yeah.
instead of answering the question, she can't. So she breaks loose and she decides to run away, basically. And
Not deal with it.
No,
and not deal with it at all. Like
I'm
decide to
running
up.
away again.
It's not my business. I don't know the answer to that question. I can't answer it. It's
What did she expect?
overwhelming for me.
That I just show up
So I'm
and
just going to
decide
leave
whether
and
she lives or she dies.
to run away, basically. Except that, of course, it's not going to happen like that, because if it were, there wouldn't be a game anymore. So sadly for
that's
her, as she drives away, she has this minute of not being careful enough, and she has this crash. Oh, and I see you. I don't know if you noticed, but the mouse cursor just went big and black.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that means that you have the motion sickness mode activated in the settings.
And I
don't
thank
know
you
if-
for that big time, because I'm very bad with motion sickness, and this is okay.
Okay, yeah, we tried to find a good balance between still having it playable the way we intended and also mitigate the motion sickness. So we developed a couple features. We got rid of a visual effect that was super bad for people with motion sickness. We tried to make it slower than it should actually normally be, so that the speed would not be as motion sickness inducing as it normally is. And we also made the central cursor bigger because we read in documentation that it helps too.
It helps.
So yeah. So if it helped you, that at least there's one person who benefited from our efforts. So we are already happy with
Something
that.
about that day always seemed off.
Believe it, because when we started this year's IndieX, that's one thing I talk about. I can't handle any game that's really bad on people with motion sickness that suffer with it a lot. And at first I was a little bit scared about this game because of that, but then I tried it and it's perfectly okay. Even what we are about to do, all the fast forward and rewind, it's more than okay. Thank you so much for that, because sometimes we can't really play a game at all.
Yeah. You're welcome. Actually, we didn't know that we had an issue until we play tested it because nobody in the team has this issue. So we were not able to actually see it up until the playtests, and some people in the playtests told us, "I'm sorry, but I can't go past the first memory because it's too
Yeah.
heavy on me." And so we knew we had to come up with something at that point.
Because this is the kind of the exploration time of the game. I can look around. This is me looking around in the memory, looking for, well, seeing what happened, reviving it again over and over, and looking for cues to help me understand. And it's very comfortable. And I've played for a few hours, continuously, and there was no problem on my end whatsoever. So I
Great.
think it works. It's
Great.
amazing.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah,
Also, the
Diane was so
this
proud of
first
packing her
memory,
own suitcase.
the one with the
Her
bird,
father
is
came to pick
probably
her up that
the
afternoon.
worst when
She
it comes
spent
to
the
motion
weekend with
sickness.
him
So
and her
yeah,
stepsister.
it was.
I was a bit
We didn't
jealous.
want people to feel
It
that they
also
could not play
happened to
it
have some
just for the
time with
first
my mother.
memory, and so we
Just us.
had to develop something. But yeah, as you mentioned, this is a memory that Junon experienced when she was around 12. You know, that's her here. And as you will explore the memory, you will understand things about what happened back then, and you will realize something that you didn't realize up until that point. Actually,
This is where we see
Marie told
Marie.
us she'd take care of the bird, so we went back
when
to
she was
play.
younger, of course.
I never saw it again. And when I asked what happened, she said it just flew away. I was so relieved.
And we keep exploring the memory, because when we learn everything that we need to learn about it, I went back.
Yeah,
We are allowed to leave the memory, so we just need to keep digging over and over until Junon realizes something, because sometimes it's like that. We don't understand what happened right away. We have to meditate on that and learn
exactly.
things about us and others.
Mm. I don't know if
Back
it
then,
happened to you, but
Marie
for
wasn't
me,
very well known. She
sometimes
was hardworking.
even
She
years
had just
after
started a
something
series on
happens
birds,
and
actually.
completely
They were all
unrelated,
over the
I'm
house.
under the
She
shower, I'm
considered
just
them
like
a
washing
symbol.
my hair. It takes a lot of time to wash so many
Yeah.
hair. And then suddenly, out of nowhere,
I
I
was
have this
very interested in
revelation that
birds,
I
so I
understand
started to
something. Oh,
love birds as
but
well.
this is what this person meant at the time. I did not understand at the time, but no, suddenly I understand. And I'm not exactly a brain scientist. I don't know how the brain works exactly, but I think that it keeps thinking, pondering on things, even when you're not
I
conscious. And
think
until it comes
I
up with
saw a
a
big shadow moving
solution
down the
and it
hallway
Yeah.
that night.
presents it
I
to you at
imagined
some
a
point.
monster bird
And so
was
that's
visiting
kind of
us.
what we try
For a
to
long time, I
illustrate
thought it
with
was
this
just a
mechanic.
strange dream.
I think you did it in a good way, because sometimes this is really what happens. Because yeah, sometimes you hold a grudge against someone for a long time. Yeah, I'm definitely not talking about me, okay, in this one. But you hold a grudge against, I don't know, a family member for quite some time, and you grow up, you learn a lot more, and you understand, and you're like, yeah, but
Hmm.
but then you don't apologize. But at some point you will need to talk about that, and that's why I can relate a lot with this
Do you
game.
recognize it?
Cool.
This
And
is the
I feel
mobile that
silly
Maurin made for me
sometimes
before I was
when I'm
born.
playing the
It's
game,
exquisite and
Why do you feel
elegant.
silly?
I loved it. And
because
I just
sometimes it
feel sad
seems so
when it
simple
actually
to mend something that we let crumble, and we don't for some reason. And I can see Junon struggling, and at the point where she decides she can actually start mending it, the other person is also receptible to the idea. And why did we hold so long to mend it?
Yeah, yeah.
And Diane is is very important in this game. That's what I feel. All the characters are important in this journey to self-healing, pretty
Yes.
much.
Well, I'm not sure where you are in the game and who you met as characters, but that's really
Marie
what we
was
tried to do.
always
Every
quite passionate
character
about
that
birds.
Junon
So I
meets
suggested we
is
keep
a
this one as a
character
pet.
she
Once
has
it got better,
unfinished
I
business
could
with,
already
and they
imagine
have to
Yeah.
figure out something,
beautiful
and
cage
she
tucked
has
in
to
the
figure
corner
out
of the
something
studio.
so that she
She
can
got so
bring their
mad.
relationship
At the
in a
time,
new
I didn't
place,
understand why she
hopefully a
reacted
place
this way.
that is better
Now,
for both of them, not only
For
for
both.
her. It's not a selfish process. Hopefully it will benefit her and the person she loves, because when you love someone you want to be able to get along well with them, and sometimes it requires a lot of effort and a lot of
And
time.
and a lot of forgiveness, because sometimes you just need to forgive yourself first. And we see that a lot on this game. I think this is a beautiful chance for some introspection for
Mm.
the players. And yeah,
now I
I
know
thank you all for the
that
opportunity
someone
for
who
that,
better
because
love
I
the
think
cats
this
and
game will
take care
resonate a
of the
lot
fathers. It must
with
have been
everyone who
Marie.
plays it.
What was
I
she
hope
doing
so,
out
at
there?
least. And it's funny you say that, because you saying that makes me think that you played until the end, but you haven't. So yeah, that's great. You already figured out. There's a little thing like above the nest that you just missed. So if you can go back on the left,
Ah,
a little bit more, again.
it doesn't let me yet. I can now. Where's the
Still,
nest?
yes,
Ah,
it's here.
and this is what happens when we miss a little bit. We keep repeating, right, until we see
Yes.
The nest was
everything we
high
need
up in the
to
tree,
see.
but the
Those
wind blew it
little
down.
sparkling
The bird was
elements,
obviously young. It was
we
its third
tried to
fall.
balance
It must
the
have been
fact that
badly hurt. I
it
didn't
it
realize it at
it,
the
sh-
time.
it should not be obvious, because you should be looking for it, because as a game designer I want you to struggle a little bit, not a big not hugely, but at least a little bit. But I also don't want you to get stuck for hours, because I hate that personally in games. I hate that. So I really
And then
wanted
Marie killed the
people to
bird.
be
What's
able
what
to
she was
figure it
doing
out
out there in the middle of the
ultimately,
night,
without having
burying
to
it in
check
secret?
for a
This might
walkthrough on
sound
the
Yeah.
internet
strange,
or something.
but I
So
also
yeah, we
trust
tried
her.
to find the right balance. It's always difficult to find the right spot between too hard or too easy.
Yeah, it has to go with the flow and feel organic. And in this case, I think it does, because I kept scrolling through the memories and I was always learning something new. And in this memory, she ultimately learns what her mother may want,
Yes.
answering that question that the doctor asked.
Marie is really an astonishing person.
Yes,
She's
and
usually hard, but
that's
also
actually the idea with the
she could be
full
vulnerable
game, the whole
sometimes.
game. It's
She
always going
couldn't
to be
stand
about
seeing the
that. It's
bird
always going
injured.
to be about
She knew it would
having
never
someone
recover.
ask
It was too
Junon a
weak.
question
I
she
remember
can't
she said,
understand.
not
She
being able
can
to fly,
answer, she
that's no
cannot
life for
answer
a bird.
because she
She thought it
doesn't
would be better
have
off dead. She could have just
the thought
abandoned it, let
process
things run their
that's
Yeah.
course.
needed to be able
But
to
I don't think
answer
she
that
did.
question. So she goes
I
away for
think
some
she
reason,
killed it with her
and
own
she gets
hands.
into that
Sounds cruel,
accident
doesn't it?
that of course you are going to learn
But
later
that's
in the
just
game,
Marie.
that it's not an
That's her
actual accident,
outlook
but
on
it's
life.
maybe
She's
something
all
more of a
or nothing.
metaphor, something more
Yeah.
of a symbol for something that happened. And then in this moment of crisis, she's able to access memories
What I need to
and
know is
reread them
what would
so
your
that
mother want?
she understands them differently and grows as a person and finds answer to the questions that she didn't know she had inside of her, but she had them inside of her already. She just wasn't able to figure them out yet.
And because sometimes in life, all it takes is something like this, something to trigger everything popping out. And now Junon will be able to answer the question, because we had the thought process, the reflection,
I'm not ducking out. Not this time.
Yes.
and she feels
After all the
stronger
things that Marie wanted,
about that already. It's
Yes.
we witnessed such a growth.
I
I hope so,
I
actually.
think
This is a
my
beautiful way of
maybe I'm having
delivering
another turn.
a heavy story
Sugary drink.
in a progressive way where we can handle it
Need anything?
and deal with it as well at the same time,
Coffee.
helping.
But if I
And
should
you know,
have
it's
a
it was kind of the kind of the
same.
same, not the same at all, actually. But when we
I
wrote
just
"Bury
can't
Me, My
speak on my
Love,"
mom's
we
behalf.
decided that an interesting
thing's for sure,
and
she's a
a
radical.
way to deliver a story that is very difficult, which is the story of a person
She's
who's
all or
leaving
nothing.
Syria and trying to
All the
reach
time.
Europe. It's a very tough journey.
Yeah.
And as we read an
I
article
understand.
about this young
It's
woman
hard
called
to
Dana,
contemplate
who
the idea of
was
living with a disability.
communicating with her
It's
family
not
through
that, not at
WhatsApp.
all.
And
If
as we
you
saw
were
that,
talking about me
yes, she
or
was in a
someone else,
terrible
I would say
situation and
it's gonna be
discussing
fine.
smugglers
You
and
adapt.
risks
People do it
for
all
her
the time.
life and
They have to.
not knowing
Life's too
where she
important.
was going to sleep.
I would say that.
But also, she was
would-
cracking jokes.
I'm not
She
sure
was
that answers your
asking
question.
for soccer results.
certainly comes
She
across
was
as
in life.
Yeah.
She was brave because she was able to
don't
still remain
I've seen her on TV
in
a couple
life
of
and in
times.
the
My
moment,
father
even
loves
though
her.
she was
Extraordinary
facing
artist.
a terrible
And her
situation.
interviews, she's so impressive.
So we
piercing.
That's very
we got
impressive.
inspiration
Must be quite
from that to
something be
write the main character
daughter of
in
someone
Bury Me
so
My Love.
talented.
But
had
the
the same
consequence
before.
of that is that
That's a
the main
polite way to
character
say
of Bury My Love
it can't be
doesn't
easy to have a nut to be
feel
for a mother.
much of a transformation because she's already brave right from the start. She's already courageous to undertake that journey and to face the situation with humor and with kindness and with open-mindedness. So in the rec, we try
Yeah.
to do something different and start with a character who is a little bit of a douchebag to begin with, and then gradually,
She is.
yeah, a little bit.
We were just
And,
having
but
dinner
you
last
but
night.
you can understand why she's that way,
Fine.
and
Could be a lot of
gradually she
factors.
grows into someone that
Family
is
history,
way more open
hypertension,
to other
alcohol
people
consumption.
and way more willing
I
to grow
have a
as a
pretty
person.
severe hangover this morning.
That's
Even
true.
past trauma.
And-
historic head injury.
And mend
It's hard to
everything.
say.
That's what I felt while playing the game.
All right, Miss
That
Delange,
I was
I'll give you time to
mending
think.
stuff, making
Let's
everything
do
better for all of
2
them,
hours, if that works for
and
you.
that makes you
sounds
think
good.
a lot.
Can I?
And I think that's what games should also be
Yes, of
about,
course.
helping
Let me find
you
out her room number.
undergo journeys, whatever they are.
Yeah, me too. Well, not every game has to be that, of course, but some
Yeah.
some game
I
can.
should do. It wasn't that long ago that I could write this kind of scene without breaking a sweat. I step into the room.
And she's talking about her work.
everywhere, beeping
Yes.
sound.
She's so cool.
The audience will know.
I
But
think
you know-
that players will be
I
engaged
start
by
bawling my
Junon.
eyes out.
I
I
hope so.
collapse
I
in my
hope so.
mom's
We
bed,
tried to. Do you know
pouring out snot
Fleabag,
from
the
my
TV
nose.
show?
Sorry?
Do you know the TV show called Fleabag?
I saw a couple of episodes. Oh, I can see what you mean.
Yeah, we tried to get inspired by the wittiness of the main character in Fleabag, who's called Fleabag. And because even if she's in terrible situations and people are saying horrible things to her face and she's saying horrible things to people, she never quits being sarcastic about life and trying to have some distance, even though it's just a protection mechanism, trying to have some distance between
Yes.
her and what could be devastating if she let the things punch her in the face. So yeah, that's the distance we try to
I
go
really
with
must.
our main character.
She probably needs me.
Because yes, Junon is pretty complex,
Mm.
and it takes skill to write characters like this. So
Thank you.
we are very happy. I bet everyone will be very happy to play this game and find out more about this character. How do you feel about Junon? Besides she being a little bit douchebaggy and stuff, did
Well-
you really enjoy writing her?
Yes, a lot actually, because it was, as
I
you
don't
just
know why,
mentioned,
but I
as a
can't
writer,
open
it
that
was
door.
a real challenge. We always wanted to write a game about a very difficult topic because we are not going to spoil the players, but the core topic in the game is not touched upon yet in the first part.
It's
You
always
only
stressful
learn
to
what
share
it's
an
really
elevator
about
with a stranger.
later in the
Still, it could
game,
be worse.
and we really wanted to
Usually,
write
I could have to
about
share it with my sister.
that topic, which is a very complicated topic to handle. And so we needed to have a very complicated, very complex vessel in the person of our
Yeah.
main character to handle that topic properly. So yeah, it was super enjoyable as a
Okay, I'm
writer
kidding.
to
We
try
love each other.
to pinpoint the right balance between all the things that we human beings are in such situations, because no one is monolithic, no one is only being this or only being that,
Yeah.
Love giving each
but
other a hard
writing
time.
characters
I
that
love giving
reflect
her a hard
human
time.
complexity.
For instance,
I guess lots of writers would tell you that it's really complicated. So
hey,
if
Didi
you tell
Poo.
me that you feel genuinely connected to Junon,
Nothing?
well, that's
I don't
one
need
of the best
my blood
compliments I
sugar's
can
low,
get.
okay?
So yeah,
Come with me to the
happy with
cafeteria.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think,
But if you utter that
well,
stupid nickname
before
one more
that,
time,
this
I'll
is
strangle you.
her sister. We finally get to
There it
meet
is.
Dion.
She has
We
the
won't
words,
get
it's like-
time to get to know her that much, but
This food looks nasty.
well, everyone else
Did you
can
notice?
can do
Yeah,
that. We'll be
yeah,
able to do
yeah,
that
Josh
once the game
wasn't
comes
always
out.
like
But
that. It started when
there's
she was
there's a thing, also a
teenager.
thing that I would
Some
like
people
to
get
really
that way. She does
compliment you
already.
about.
So,
The big
how's work?
secret that I'm not going to
You know,
reveal.
scheduling, phone
You
calls,
introduce
spreadsheets.
it
It's mind-numbing. There's no time to think.
very
That's why I love it
lightly.
so much.
We were already
How's your
talking
script
about
coming
it
along?
without really understanding we were, and there's that little thing in the back of our mind telling, wait, something's happening or something has happened and we haven't really talked about it. And it's amazing because the seed is already planted and we haven't even addressed the elephant in the room. And
Yeah,
I think that was greatly done. That's great storytelling right there.
thanks.
That's my
But
5 cents.
it's really nice, and I think I understand what you are referring to in terms of signposting. And this specific signposting idea came to me under the shower. So it's not a myth. The best ideas come to you under the shower. You should take more showers. People should shower all the time because that's where the best ideas come from.
And this is probably the best way to finish a stream about a game, because that's actually true. And that's a great advice for everyone out there aspiring to also write this kind of games, this kind of stories. And we still have a little bit of time. Is there anything else you would like to say to everyone besides wishlist this game right now?
Yes. No, what I'd like to say is when we created the Pixel Hunt in 2013 is because we believed that yes, games are enjoyable when they are just for fun and just for entertainment and just for playing soccer or slaying dragons or throwing fireballs at monsters. But they can also be a lot of other different things. And as a journalist, I was a journalist for 10 years before I started making games. And as a journalist, I was always fascinated by how many incredible stories the world has to offer.
Yeah.
And so that's what we try to do at the Pixel. That's our kink. We try to make reality-inspired games that talk about the real world in different ways. And I hope that there will be more and more room for game makers and game designers that will be making games about stories that are not typically talked about in games, because I just think that's how we keep our media alive, and that room for experiment that is possible thanks to the rise of
Yeah.
indie games.
It is.
I hope it thrives again and again, because yeah, it's just so cool to have such diversity.
I totally agree with you. Thank you so much, Florent, for this time, for this game, for everything. And I wish you all the greatest of success. And we will be waiting for this game early 2023. So
Yes.
only a little bit until then.
Yeah. Thanks a
Goodbye,
lot.
everyone.
Bye.
Stay tuned for the next games. Goodbye. Thank you.
All right? I'll tell you this story.
Your mom had a brain aneurysm.
Is she going to die?
We just found out that Mom might die. Does that mean nothing to you?
Why the hell do I feel so alone? Do I really have to be so angry? Do I really hate my mother?